Okay, so here's the plan. Xiaoming, you take the knights down the left side to flank the enemy. Ahmad, you are in charge of building the archer towers on the right to stop the advancing orc army. Lian, you and the other magicians fly up the middle and cast fireball and volcano. I'll stay here and research atomic theory, okay? What? We're playing Monopoly, yeah? Oh. In this final lesson on game genres, we will discuss strategy games. I will also touch on some of the other game genres before wrapping up the series. Strategy games are characterized by the fact that you need to use skillful thinking and planning in order to succeed. They have their origins in tabletop games and board games such as chess, Risk, or Warhammer 40k. They also tend to be PC games, since the keyboard and mouse input is usually more convenient for such games than the gamepads employed by consoles. There are two aspects to these games, namely strategy and tactics. Strategy is big picture planning, such as deciding which faction to attack, what unit to hire, or what spell to research. Tactics is the execution of strategy, such as deciding which spell to cast or which unit to shoot at in battle. The main motivation factor addressed by strategy games is mastery, where the ability to think ahead and make the best decisions is ultimately rewarded. Strategy games commonly involve multiple units in conflict, whether on a real physical map or in some virtual arena. In some games, controlling the units in clever ways is what determines victory. Many strategy games also include elements of resource management, such as some form of currency that allows you to build production buildings or hire troops. The RPG mechanic of leveling up characters is also becoming increasingly common. Let's take a look at some subgenres of strategy games. "4X" stands for Explore, Expand, Exploit, and Exterminate. This term was first used in a review of the game Master of Orion, and stuck. In such games, the player controls an entire faction's units. They must first explore to find new lands, which are often hidden by what is known as a fog of war. Once new lands with resources are found, the player will expand their faction by laying claim to the land, such as by creating a new village or controlling a mine. The new resources will then be exploited, allowing the production of more units. Combat units will then venture forth to exterminate the opposition. Other than Master of Orion, examples of 4X games include Master of Magic, the Total War series, and the Civilization series. These games often take multiple sessions to complete, as the player's faction grows, the units are built up, and victory is obtained through multiple tense battles. That is, until Gandhi decides to nuke it all. Real-time strategy games, or RTSs, require players to make decisions constantly as the game state continuously changes. You snooze, you lose. These games reward the ability to monitor multiple troops, resources, and battles at the same time. While the 1989 game Herzog's Way is often cited as the first RTS, and games like The Ancient Art of War were also reasonably popular, the game that probably jump-started the RTS movement was Dune 2: The Building of a Dynasty. Dune 2 introduced the core concepts of RTSs that are still being used today. Gather resources, spend those resources to build production buildings, use those buildings to produce combat units, and then send those units out to destroy the opposition. There then followed several RTS franchises such as Warcraft, Total Annihilation, Age of Empires, and StarCraft. Early RTSs had to rely on AI opponents who were unable to effectively compete with human players, at least without cheating. When networking and the internet became prevalent and affordable, multiplayer networked play became an essential part of RTSs. A popular subclass of RTSs is the Multiplayer Online Battle Arena, or MOBA, where the objective is to destroy the opposing team's structure with the help of constantly spawning AI-controlled units that travel on a set path. Players usually control only one character in a MOBA, and the use of skills and the proper upgrading of the character is crucial to success. The two most popular MOBAs are League of Legends and Defense of the Ancients 2, although Blizzard is trying to muscle in on the action with Heroes of the Storm. RTSs and MOBAs are a big deal right now in the esports arena. Games like League of Legends, StarCraft 2, and Dota 2 have World Championship events with total prize pools of over $20 million US. Wait, what? Is that right? I may be in the wrong job. Turn-based strategy games, or TBSs, are modeled closely on board games. Players take turns one after another to decide what to do, and during a player's turn, they are given a sufficient amount of time to analyze the situation before deciding what to do. Video war games that simulate tabletop war games are almost all turn-based, such as Perfect General or The Romance of the Three Kingdoms. 4X games also tend to be TBSs, like the aforementioned Master of Orion and Civilization games, because the players require time to consider all of the many factors before they can make a good decision. In addition, there are tactical turn-based games, where the game alternates between tactical combat and strategic decisions. The XCOM games, Jagged Alliance, and Final Fantasy Tactics all follow this scheme and provide various avenues for the gamer motivated by mastery to enjoy. Tower defense, or TD games, has the player build defensive structures, called towers, in order to protect their base from incoming invaders. As the towers defeat the invaders, a currency is earned that allows the player to build more structures or upgrade existing ones. Interestingly, the genre took off due to the Warcraft 3 maps Element Tower Defense and Gem Tower Defense. Today, the most popular TD game is arguably Plants vs. Zombies. The last strategy subgenre we will discuss is collectible card games, CCGs, sometimes called trading card games or TCGs. These started off as digital implementations of actual physical card games such as Magic the Gathering, but lately there's been a resurgence in such games, with the Pokemon trading card game, Hearthstone, and Shadowverse gaining popularity. The strategy of constructing your deck and the tactics in playing the game is a compelling combination, rewarding careful planning and patience in order to earn the best cards in the game. Alternatively, you could just pay a lot of money to get all the cards and copy a deck from the net. That works too. A full discussion of all game genres will take a lot more time and a lot more videos, especially since there isn't a universal agreement when it comes to classifying games. Are simulations that model reality a separate genre? SimCity is a city management simulation, but it could be considered a strategy game, while the Microsoft Flight Simulator models the flying of an actual aircraft, but it might be considered an action game. How about sports games? Are they simulations like Football Manager, or action games like Ridge Racer? Or both, like the FIFA series that involves both managerial decisions and arcade action? What about casual games, aimed at people who don't have the time to invest on something more involved? Or serious games, where there is an additional objective beyond commercial success? Take Pokemon Go for example, which can be considered a serious game, since it has an additional objective of getting the players to exercise by walking. But I don't know, doesn't seem very serious to me. Unless that legendary runs away after my raspberry curveball ultra ball excellent throw, then it's dead serious. Ultimately, there isn't really a right or wrong way to classify a game by genre. No, actually, let me take that back. There are wrong ways to classify a game, but there might be multiple right ways. Is The Last of Us an RPG, an adventure game, or a shooter? Maybe it's all three. The important thing is to be able to understand the reason why these genres exist, what makes each genre work, and how you can take advantage of this to make your own game. So that's it. That's the last lesson in this series on game genres. Remember to do the workshops for this week, and I'll see you in class. By the way, you can share and like these videos and subscribe to my channel if you want. I'm not going to force you or anything. It's not like I'm the evil sort who will give you a bad grade for the class if you don't, right?